Everybody on this Zoom meeting, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just type on the chat hi, say hi to me, and just type hi, say I can hear you. Just type anything at all. Anything. If you can hear me loud and clear. I can see a lot of names here. I can see Ogechi. I can see Emmanuel, Kingsley. So if I'm calling your name, just say I can hear you and say hi. Ruth, Zainab, Chamara, all of you right here, I want to see you type something. Because we're about to start.
A thump more is what they may likely do because of security issues.
All right, okay. Give me thumbs up, whatever it is. Just let me know that you're right here with us. That's what I mean. Anything at all that you can type on the message, tell me that you are here and you can hear me loud and clear. I'm waiting for you guys, though. This is not a burial ceremony. This is a Zoom call, and this is November to remember. So I suppose each and every one of you, you've been here since the 3rd of November. I like that. Timieno said I can hear you. Okay. Until I see more people type something, we're not going to start. Emmanuel, Ogechi, where are you guys? Simon, Chinedu, Elisha. Salome, Ruth. Are you guys here? Are we here? Chamara. Sorry, if I don't call your name very well, just forgive me because, you know, these names are wonderful names, and sometimes pronouncing them can be a very good task. Anyway, whilst we are here, my name is Kelechi, and it's really wonderful to be right here with all of us. I can see very respectable people, wonderful people that I've not seen them in a while. I can see, of course, Professor Celestine. I can see Sam Johnson. Yes, I can see Ogechi, even though, she did not reply me when I was calling her name. I can see Negin, Emmanuel. I can see all of you. Simon, Tayo, Cynthia. I want to welcome each and every one of you to this series of November to Remember. I mean, today is the last but not the least day. I suppose we've been having a great time since 3rd of November. So just to play it back, if you've been here since the 3rd, I need you to type one keyword that you've gotten from the previous talks and previous speakers. One keyword. If you don't do it, we're not going to have today's talk. Curiosity, nice. I can see Sam Johnson just type curiosity. Tell me more. All of you that, if not, I'll call your name and you must say something in context learning, okay? That's what Salome said, or he said in context learning. AI or die. All right, I like that. I like that. AI or die. Evolve or die. Fascinating. Okay, AI or die. All right, I like this. Give me more words, more keywords. You guys are computing students, right? All right. Give me more keywords. Motivating. Okay. Three more, and we move on. Three more keywords. Agentic AI. AI will not steal people's job. Nice. I like the fact that you guys know that AI will not steal people's job. Volunteerism. Nice. Okay, fine. Thank you so much for responding. Now it feels like we are in November to Remember. This name, November to Remember, sounds like a series to me. Each time I see it, I'm like, okay, this sounds like a blockbuster movie that we're going to be having. And I hope that it's been a blockbuster series that you've been having, because today's own, I guarantee you today's own is going to be one of the best that you've heard today. And it's because the lady that is going to be handling today's session is a woman that I say she's a woman of tangible tact and tenacity. You know, she's a total treasure, 10 over 10. You can see all the T's that I'm calling. Tangible tact and tenacity. Total treasure, 10 over 10. Oh, come on, man. Today is going to be really, really, really wonderful. I tell you the truth. So if your friends or classmates are not here yet, just send them a text message. Tell them that November to remember, we are right here and we've started. So without further ado, I'm going to be introducing my co-moderator today, or my co-host, who is one of the ambassadors. Okay, I suppose she is here with me, and I can see her wonderful smile. Her name is Ogechi Smart Ekejoba. Ogechi, can you unmute yourself and say hi to the people here?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Kelechi. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Sam. I don't know if she's in the call. So it's a privilege to be an ambassador for this program. And I'm very, very excited about today's of course, today's teaching, because as a human resource professional, it's something that I always look forward to learning more from, people who have gone ahead. And I think that I'm going to learn a lot today, and everyone here is going to also learn a lot. So thank you so much for the introduction, Kelechi. And let's go to the main business of today. So I'm going to be introducing Dr. Sylvia. So Dr. Sylvia Agbamuche-Maduka is a seasoned business executive and human resource strategist with over 24 years of cross-sector experience spanning across oil and gas, financial services, technology, and global consulting. Currently serving as Vice President, Global Business Services at PANA Holdings. Until her appointment, Dr. Sylvia Agbamuche-Maduka has served as a General Manager, Corporate Services at Falcon Corporation Limited, where she led key strategic initiatives as well as leading the corporate communication strategy of Optimary Energy, a pioneering energy solution provider, and spearheaded the company's corporate communication strategy. She later joined the International Human Resource Development Corporation, IHRDC, as a senior project manager. She became the first Nigerian to be deployed as a project manager in the company's 40-year history, overseeing teams across Egypt, Boston, Abu Dhabi, and Kuala Lumpur. Additionally, Dr. Sylvia Agbamuche-Maduka obtained the Bachelor of Science in Sociology from the University of Lagos. She later went on to enroll for Master of Business Administration degree, specializing in employee relations from the University of Leicester, and has completed executive education programs at Cambridge University and Lagos Business School. She's a trailblazer and a visionary leader, and she's committed to building people-centric organizations that deliver measurable impact. Thank you so much, Dr. Sylvia, for joining us, and we all look forward to learning from you tonight. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ogechi. Thank you, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay.
Loud and clear.
Awesome, great. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. Just want to thank everyone for this invitation. I think this is, I can't remember how many seasons of November to Remember have come on, but I really appreciate every single one. And I just want to thank Dr. Celestine and everyone else who has allowed me to be on this bill today. So I am just going to quickly share my slides so we can get into the very, very interesting topic for today, which is career navigation and the essential skills for employment. So it's going to be a discussion. I'm sure many of the things you're going to hear today, you may have heard them before, but I'm hoping that we can bring some different kind of perspective that will help us to be better equipped as we move on in this new phase of the world, really. You're already talking about AI, technology, the world of work is changing, right? So why in the first place will you be talking about career navigation? Well, depending on which phase of life that you're in, you might be just entering into your career. Maybe you've been studying. You might want to be moving, that is moving laterally. different companies, different industries, different sectors, or you might want to be moving upwards, which is getting promotions, getting better opportunities to advance your career. I really particularly like the theme, which is powering possibilities, technology trade, and the future of human development. So we're going to kind of touch on that as we talk about how you can position yourselves to navigate your career. So of course, we have academics amongst us. I had to first chat and try and find where from the body of knowledge can I bring out a definition on career navigation, right? But really, it's really just about, you taking an active part, being an active participant in how your career is moving, right? Not just passively moving from role to role. This is about the responsibility that beholds on you as the person that is in the career, right? So that is the process of navigating, aligning the skills. What opportunities do you come across? And how do you want to really progress? All right. Some of the key themes about career navigation is how you're going to blend the technical knowledge that you have, the academic knowledge that you have, and then put this into the labor market in whatever sector that you choose to find yourself, and really taking deliberate actions, deliberate decision-making actions to move your career. So to set the scene, I'm just going to talk about my own journey. Ogechi did a beautiful job of reading out, my profile, but I would like to explain how being intentional about navigating your career, positions you for leadership. So I've had about 24 odd years of experience, and I have journeyed to where I am now in my current role, being a vice president of global business services of a multifaceted business. PANA Holdings is actually a conglomerate. About 9 portfolio companies sit within this holding company. And to be in this position, it's far more than just what your academic qualifications can prepare you for. And really, truly, as you go along your career, you realize it's more about how you're able to incorporate certain skills that may not just be theoretical, but I'll explain that. Okay, so growth is never accidental, as I mentioned in my definition of career navigation, right? Is the total sum of your consistent work, right? What you have learned every single day, the resilience you've picked up that enhances the knowledge that you have to make you valuable within your organization. So I started off in administration. My first degree was in sociology, and I wanted to work in corporate. So I started off in admin. It was the lowest entry point for me, the lowest hanging fruit, really, to get a job in corporate. So I started off in administration, and I was working in a logistics company. It was a French logistics company at the time, and I worked in administration. And then there was an opening for a role in investment banking. I didn't know anything about investment banking, but the pay was pretty good. I mean, I was young, I was in my 20s. I was like, oh, this is a great paying job. What do I need to do to work in investment banking, right? But then I was able to pass the assessments, the general assessment that you have, which is just thinking, just looking at general thinking, being able to process different limited information, kind of things that you do like in entry-level jobs. So I got into investment banking. Now, investment banking was very different from anything I'd expected to be doing. It was all about portfolio management. There was lots of analysis. There was a lot of numbers. There was a lot of information that was really numerical. At the time, I told myself I wasn't a numbers person, which was the reason why I chose to do sociology in the first place. I didn't want any numbers. I just wanted to read something and be able to pass my exams, right? But then I found myself in this sector of investment banking. Now, to be able to be successful, to even just thrive, let's even leave success, to even just thrive in investment banking, I had to develop what I didn't even know were skills I had, which were numerical skills, right? And I did that for a couple of years. And because I had done such a varied kind of work, I realized I needed another degree apart from my bachelor's. So I went to do an MBA, and I thought this was the best skill course I could do because it was going to give me the opportunity to learn more about finance, about accounting, and, you know, just how to run a business, right? And then I journeyed after doing my MBA. I got a job as a project manager in an oil and gas company, technical. It was a competency-based management company, but we actually were working with engineers. Again, there was another different learning cycle, right? I started learning about engineering terms. I had to understand about different kinds of projects, oil and gas projects, deep offshore. You know, I had to go on an FPSO. It was a whole series of learning again. And I got a lot of skills from that. But at that point, I was sure that I wanted to do human resources. And this was because of all the things that I've been exposed to do. I realized that within corporate, I really wanted to work with people, and I wanted to work with people in a way that would help them to optimize their own efficiency so they can perform. And then I went into HR fully. I'm still in the oil and gas sector, but I kind of streamlined my profession into what I wanted it to be. And then I've been predominantly in human resources from there. So this has been my career journey. But as I picked up the skills along the way and I navigated my career from sector to sector, to role, I was also expanding my knowledge base in a way that was going to make me very effective now that I have this job as a vice president of a conglomerate. So when you're growing, make sure that you're taking an active role in what is informing your career decisions. Make sure that it's things that you can learn. Make sure there are things that there are skills that you can develop. Compensation is not the only, should not be the only motivation that you look at when it comes to navigating your career, right? So as you're doing this, you think about the things that you want to learn and how you want to develop. Now, let me flip it on the other hand, which is human resources, the people that are looking for you to employ you, to bring you into the organization of choice. So HR has changed a lot. Technology has come in, there's so much advancements, but the underpinning philosophies of HR has changed. So back in the days, traditional HR was about what did you study? What was your grade? How many years of experience do you have? Who do you know who can give you any recommendation and all of that? And while some traces of the traditional HR still remain, HR has really evolved, right? So now we're looking at not just your technical skills, but also paying attention to your soft skills. How do you communicate? What kind of value system do you have? What's your cultural fit to the culture of the organization that we want to take you out? Are you adaptable? What kind of projects have you done? So it's not only just about your academic qualifications and what you've studied alone. And it's very important that as you take this active role in navigating your career, that you're paying attention to it, right? So HR has gone far beyond just paperwork. We're now really looking at how we are going to position not only the organizations for success, but how we're going to position the employees, the people that work within that company, to shape the culture of success within the entire business. So you're going to need to pay attention to not just what you studied, but you're going to need to pay a lot of attention to your soft skills. You know, who are you as a person? What are the things that differentiate you from somebody else? How are you able to communicate? Are you pleasant to be around? Yes, people don't want to think about the fact that it may not be pleasant, but honestly, everybody prefers to work with somebody who is pleasant. Everybody wants you to be on their team if you're pleasant. So those are things that you're going to also need to pay attention to. So now let's have a quick case story, right? Some of you may know this person, some of you may not know this person, but does anybody know about Zania? So Zania was or is an AI celebrity, right? She actually launched some creative work, some music. She was able to stream 17 million streams across platforms, right? In the media industry, and is a raving success. But, Xenia doesn't exist. Xenia is an AI generated, lady who sings really beautiful music. So what does this now mean for the creatives who are musicians in this space, right? Because I heard someone say AI won't take our jobs, right? When, we're doing the initial wrap about what you've learned so far. So AI is not going to take anybody's job, but AI is going to make our jobs very interesting. That's for sure. It's going to make us a little bit more intentional and deliberate. So imagine I am a musician who spends lots of time trying to gain inspiration, to write a song, to get the melody, to find how this music is going to be engaging enough. And then I can just type in some text into a tool and tell that tool to give me a song. Give me a song that is upbeat, that talks about XYZ. And then in the same markets, we have the person who spent months gone on sabbatical to get inspiration to write this beautiful song, worked with also creatives to put the melodies together, and someone who just sat down for 10 minutes, put some information into a software and generated pretty decent music. So that is a real and present situation that each of us are going to have to face in our careers today. So AI is going to make life more interesting for us. It's going to make our jobs easier, but it's also going to make the employers more circumspect about how they spend their resources in hiring. And that's the truth, right? Because in the same market, you're going to have technology that's going to enhance work. And then you're going to have people as well that can add value, but you're going to need to weigh per time. There's going to be a way. There's going to be a toss-up all the time. Do I need a person, or can I get a solution, a technological solution that can provide me that service, right? So what we can do is to recognize that AI is there. AI can make our lives easier, but it's definitely going to change the state of play in the world of work. That's for sure, right? So I tell people, don't put your head in the sand. Don't bury your head in the sand and think that if you're going to wish AI away or delude yourself that AI is not going to be a strong contender in how you do your work. No, AI is here to stay. What you need to do is change your mindset. How are you going to use AI to enhance the knowledge that you already have already? Because at the end of the day, it could be garbage in and garbage out. If you don't have the knowledge, you're going to use AI in a way that is not going to enhance or create value. Two of us could have ChatGPT that we use for work, but because I have training, knowledge, experience, the prompts that I use are going to be very different from the prompts that somebody who doesn't have the experience is going to have. So that means we are both not going to generate the same kind of results. Okay, so it is important that we don't think that AI technology is the end of having curiosity, of having a quest to seek knowledge. That would be totally erroneous, and that would be extremely wrong. I'll give you a story from the place that I work. So we had a senior level meeting with a business line leader, and he was supposed to prepare for us a business plan. And now this business plan was supposed to be on the business that he has been leading for the past 3 years. And the reason why we decided to have this meeting was because it was a crisis in the business in terms of profitability and the business value. And we needed to realign, right, to see whether this is a business we wanted to proceed with. Now, this is someone who is at a vice president level as well. And he was going to make this presentation before the board of directors, the chairman, and some key stakeholders. right? He had been given a few weeks to prepare for this very high level meeting. And this gentleman came on the day of this meeting. The meeting, we had blocked out around 4 hours for this meeting in the middle of a weekday. This is just to give context on the fact that it was a very important meeting. This gentleman then produces a very beautiful report. It was 143 pages. It was such a nice looking document, but it just contained what was clearly, obviously, generically engineered, AI-enabled information. And this was extremely unfortunate because you've been heading this business for a couple of years. We're having this meeting because there's a crisis in terms of business viability. And your response is to generate AI-enabled documents. Now, see, that was not the time or the place for that document, right? And this is why I was saying that AI will enhance what it is that you already have. So now say this gentleman decided to say, okay, I've done this documentation, I've put this information together, I've looked at the financials, I've seen what the issues are, and then he's put all his thoughts together around the business, and then use that information to put into an AI tool and asked it to refine based on what it was that he wanted to do. I think he just went in there and said, draw me up a business plan. And so the person who has done the work, who has the knowledge, who has put in requisite amount of diligence and discipline with information is the person that can take AI to the next level and can really use it to add value. But if you don't do that, you will be sitting down in a meeting in front of senior people presenting something that is terribly embarrassing. So the mindset change that we need to have is to know that AI and technology will be a very strong contender in how businesses choose to recruit, reward, and because you're in a way not competing with technology, but technological options are available, so you will have scarce resources. The employer's ability to spend is finite, is definite. So they can't just recruit everybody, pay them what they like, increase their salaries annually. You're going to be competing. So before, a few years ago, it was a war on talent. That's the number of human capital that you could get to run your business. But now it's a war on technology because if you have some tech, you don't really need as many people, right? So please make sure that you always keep yourself open to research, to being curious, to learning, to expanding your knowledge base. You need to have deliberate experimentation with information so that you always are going to be able to show value within any kind of work arrangement. So that really is the future, and that is what is here to stay. So now, how does this affect you, right? So when you were in your career before, the Gen Xers, the boomers, they will tell you it was all about tenure. How long have you been on a roll? How have you been able to rank and file? That is understanding that, yes, I've been in this position for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, I'm going to move to this position. Everything was nice. Everything was just linear, There were fixed roles. Everybody just kind of knew where everything was. Your career was so predictable. You could actually say where you'll be in 5 years, where you'll be in 10 years. It was easy. It was straightforward. Now, with AI and data, it's not quite that anymore, right? Things have changed. So now we have a lot of data that we can use to make informed choices, not only for your career, but even for how businesses take decisions, right? Visibility is extremely important, right? Your digital presence your contributions. What are you doing online? You know, how are you working? What kind of personality are you engineering outside of just your roles? You know, some of us don't really have the personality types sometimes to want to engage in all of this. You just want to show up. You just want to do your job. You want to get paid. You want to go home. Those are the things that you want to do. But unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. Visibility is extremely important. Your digital presence and your contributions are almost as important as the research papers or the work assignments that you did while you were on the job, depending on your position and depending on your role. And even if you're just a new entrant into the job market, or really at any point in the life cycle of your career that you're in, you really need to pay attention to your visibility online. So now something just happened recently. I think this is more maybe in the Nigerian, maybe it's more in the Nigerian space, but I don't know how many of us heard about the Paystack CEO, a gentleman called Ezra. Does anybody, any hands up? Does anybody know what happened there? Okay. Let me tell you what happened. Right. Thank you. Thank you for shaking your head, Nengin. I like that. I like people that are participating. You know, sometimes you just feel like you're talking to yourself. Anyway, so there's this gentleman called Ezra. He's the CEO of a tech company called Paystack. A very good tech company, actually. It was valued at 500, was it $500 million he sold that company for? He got investors who came in, a great company, a tech company that's doing extremely well. So just yesterday, unfortunately for him, not really sure what happened, but they went and dug out the tweets he made in 2011. I believe he was only 25 years old at the time. But these tweets were so horrendous. They were so alarming. I mean, they bordered on zoophilia, pedophilia, you know, aggression. It has caused so much of a ruckus. They're having investor conversations now about how that business is going to continue. So, what you do online doesn't just stay online, right? You know, you can choose to have different kinds of profiles, but now even in some countries, they will check your social media footprint before they allow you into their country. Visibility, as beneficial as can be for your career, can also be extremely detrimental if you put the wrong things out there. So, as you are cultivating your career, please be very mindful of what you put out there. This is a very successful business, a young man who's done fantastic things, who set up a very novel fintech business at the time in the middle of what can only be called a disaster. And that is because the things that he put out there, he probably forgot he put them out there because so much time has gone past. But today is all over social media. It's in the press, it's in the news, it's everywhere. And I know there's going to be some great fallout about that, right? So it's very important that we know that the world of work has changed. As you're navigating your career as well, it's going to be very important that you also pay attention to your digital footprint and then cultivate that visibility to align with it, the projection that you want to have for your career. A lot of recruiters now check your digital footprints before they even offer you a job. They check. I check, and I'm in HR. And I know many people do as well, because you don't want to get, especially if it's a high level position, you don't want to get somebody who has values that don't align with the company or has very strong points of view that could get you into potential legal issues, right? Because that can also be a consideration, right? So that being said, how can you get better in navigating your own career? We've touched on some things already, but to reiterate, continuous learning, right? If you have a skill that is in demand, or if you don't have, right? Whatever it is that you've studied or that you've had there has been an update. In fact, the series of updates that are going on now is almost per day. Like there's something new in your sector or in your industry, and you have to make sure that you're paying attention to it. Then we have lots of nice micro-learning areas that you can do. You can use, there's YouTube, they've done Twitter, there are Twitter spaces. People have different kinds of things. We have November Learning Series, there's LinkedIn. The access to information is so easily accessible now. So you really have to make sure that you're continuously updating your skill set. And there are lots of in-demand skills per sector, per industry, that you can also make sure that you acquaint yourself with. And of course, you have to update your resume. And as I say, you should also have multiple resumes. You don't have to have one, or depending. If you want to have a particular kind of career only, then you can have one. But if you're open to trying different kinds of roles, like I mentioned, my own career journey, then you'll have multiple resumes. And the reason why you have it is that it's better for you to tailor your resume with the job that you're after, right? Whoever it is that picks up your CV, that is after AI has filtered it. Whoever it is that picks up your CV wants to make sure that the resume of the person is someone that they can see within their company already. And the only way they can see that is when you have taken the time to look at the role that you're applying for. You're taking the time to look at the company that you're applying for, and then you've updated your CV accordingly. Of course, don't lie on your resume. Don't put things in there you cannot defend. Don't embellish it overly. I mean, put things in there that will align and showcase your expertise so that you can stand out. Okay? And then also try to pay attention to market alignment. You have to stay informed on industry trends. You have to know what's going on within your industry, your profession. Know what the emerging technologies are, know about market shifts, and then you're able to anticipate opportunities and then adapt yourself strategically. It's unfortunate when I see a lot of people who don't pay attention to like the news, that don't really understand what's going on within their profession. They're kind of just stuck where they are, either in their jobs, and they're not able to strategically position. So there's a room for networking, that is knowing people that can help you when you want to move along your career. But then there's something to be said for having the information just by paying attention. You know what's happening in the industry, what's happening in the sector. You can see a press release that says, a particular industry or sector or company is moving to an area that that you wanted to have an opportunity. You can quickly begin to position, sending your CVs on time. Say, oh, I noticed that you guys are doing them. Just, looking to see if you might be interested in my skills. So pay attention to market alignment. Also, then diversity engagements, actively participate in diverse teams, right? If you're Nigerian, which I am, don't only stay with the Nigerian community. I mean, that's good. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but don't only just stay within the teams that you are representing. Look at other communities, look at other arrangements, look at other places, because you'll be surprised the amount of opportunities that you find there. Seek cross-cultural experiences, not only for work. It's very good for career navigation, but even just for yourself. It gives you a far richer perspective. So when you're engaging at an interview, you're able to speak very richly about a vast amount of information that you may not have ordinarily been exposed to if you just stay within your own teams, right? So always look for diverse experience, diverse engagement to expand your horizon. They're very good for networking. And of course, networking as itself is a discipline and it's a skill. And if you don't have it, you must go and learn how to network effectively. Build meaningful connections, engage with your peers, thought leaders, nurture these relationships, and that they can really create new opportunities. When I say nurture, I really mean nurture, because there's nothing more uncomfortable when people feel entitled to access that they haven't qualified for, right? So I'll share an experience of something that I went through yesterday with a friend of mine. So I have a friend, she went to Harvard Kennedy. She has a very good job. And she's also the president for the Harvard alumni in Nigeria. So of course, this is someone that is well placed in terms of networking. So this young man found her online. He works in JP Morgan, and he says he needs her to write him a reference so he can get into Harvard Kennedy School, right? So she says, oh, wow, write you a reference. I don't really know anything about you to write a reference because it's a personal reference, right? So she says, oh, I don't really know you. Is there any other way I can help? Because, writing a reference is, is something that is personal, and I like to be authentic. I don't want it to be manufactured. I've worked with the Harvard Kennedy School for such a long time. Then he says to her that I have applied before and I didn't get in. And I have been told that if I get you to write this reference, then I will get in. So she said, so what is it about you that will make me want to do this for you? And then besides, this is what she said. She said, well, besides, I'm already writing 2 references in this cohort. I do think it's a bit much for me to write a 3rd reference, and I don't really know you. And now this gentleman continued to persist and almost insist that she writes him this reference, right? So I was speaking to her. He called on the phone and she was speaking to her. And I said, so why do you feel the need to write me a reference? She said, oh, I feel so harassed. He's bothering me for this reference. And I thought, this is not networking. This has now turned into something else, right? So when you are networking, please make sure that you have led enough of, in fact, the way I say it to some of my the people that I coach, I say, leave trails of crumbs that you can go back and pick up and consume. Meaning, have micro engagement that you've been giving value before you need anything. So imagine this gentleman who needed this reference, knew that he will be applying to Harvard in the next year, and he thought, who are the people that might need a reference from? He identifies a few people, and then once every month or so, he shares with them an article that he thought might be interesting, engage on their posts, send them LinkedIn connections, said a word, join some of their speaking engagements, send them a word after the engagement to say, oh, you spoke very well. I learned this from you. You did very well. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And then ask for a reference. See what I'm saying? It's very important that you build the relationships way before you might even need them, so that when you want to leverage on it, it's there for you to leverage on. It's equity relationship. It's a capital. It's like money that you want to spend. You're not going to just walk into somebody that you don't know and say, oh, give me your money, and expect the person to give the money to you. Every time somebody spends time with you, every time the person trades value with you, it's like a financial transaction, and that's how you should treat your networking opportunities. Very intentionally, making sure that you're adding value, right? Not expecting anything back, adding value, receiving value, so that if you do need to draw down on that relationship, it's there for you. So continue to learn new skills, apply them in projects, showcase your achievements, connect with peers, with leaders, and, keep yourself out there. Network intentionally. And that's going to be very useful for you. All right. So how can you gain this visibility that I've spoken about already, right? It's more than just applying for a job or researching a job board and then applying. Yeah, that's good. We can do that. But at the age we're in now, with technology, with visibility, we've been able to just find anything really at a touch of a button. With 2 strokes, any information can come out there. The other day, I said to ChatGPT, I said, tell me who I am. Tell me about myself. ChatGPT brought out pictures. he told me, because my ChatGPT is a guy, he has a nice voice. I trained him that way. He's so pleasant and respectful. So I said, ChatGPT, tell me who I am. He did all this research. He told me about myself. He told me where I've been. He told me things that I've done. You know, that's where we are now. You come for an interview, I'm not going to waste my time looking through. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT, so who's Sam Johnson? Tell me who she is. I'm about to have a meeting with her. ChatGPT will do that for you. Many of the AI tools are that sophisticated now. So you have to make sure that you position yourself in a way that when whichever AI tool goes into the World Wide Web to find out who you are, there's information in there that is going to be attractive to the organization you're positioning for, or even within the organization that you are currently. Okay, so look for community to practice. And this could be online, this could be in your schools, this could be even in your organizations. You know, always find opportunities where you can give constructive feedback to your peers, share insights, you know, consistently try to hone yourself as an expert in whichever field it is. And expertise is something you acquire over time, right? So do the work and to be very intentional in driving your visibility, right? Then you can build digital portfolios, highlight your work, right? The projects you've been at, things that you've done, you know, do demos, any opportunity you find, you know, take it, use it, get mentors, go into mentorship networks, you know, reach out to potential networks, mentors, just like what I mentioned about the gentleman who was looking for a reference, right? Pick them, look at your sector and say, oh, who are the people in my sector that I find interesting that I would want to get to know? Not all mentors you have must be mentors that you see or interact with on a daily basis. Somebody can mentor you just by their works, the things that they've written, the articles that they have done, speeches that they've made. I have mentors that I've never met. I've just followed their lives, followed their trajectories, and learned a lot from it. Somebody first told me, and it's something I tell my children even today, the experience is not the best teacher. Other people's experience is the best teacher, because the experience that you've had doesn't cost me anything. I don't know the pains, I don't know the travails that went through it. I'm just taking the learning and adapting it. But my experience will cost me something. It will cost me time, it can cost me money, it can cost me pain, it can cost me hardships. And that is a little bit more, of course, is more challenging to deal with. So make sure you seize the opportunity to get mentors, in-person mentors, people that you know, your professors, your lecturers, you know, people that you find interesting, or find them online through their books, through their literary works, through whatever it is, and get the learnings from it. And then when you do that, ensure that you're showcasing them appropriately. Now, your resumes. I mentioned already that you should try to tailor your resumes to what you need it for per time. Curriculum vitae, resumes, same difference, same things, right? So try to make sure that you're doing that. And then you need your resumes to stand out. Depending on the level in your career that you're in, you may just need to upload your resumes into a tool that will then just, you know, identify whether you meet the criteria or not. There's that. But if you're a little bit more senior, your resumes will be received and read through before you're then called in for, you know, an interview or a chat. So try to use these strategies to make your profile stand out. You know, the market is very competitive. So try to elevate your most recent experience first. Don't start with the oldest experience, start with the most recent experience. You know, the attention span of most people now is quite low. So really, you don't want to bore them with things that you did like years ago. Put your recent experience first. Make sure your portfolio is refreshed. You know, showcase all your technical skills, your leadership skills. Remove what is outdated. If it's outdated, just take it out. Your resume shouldn't be more than 2 pages at a maximum. And that 2 pages means you're quite senior in leadership. That's why you have 2 pages full of information. Just try to keep it to a page. And if you can't put it to a page, maximum of 2 pages, right? As I said, remove the decade old information, legacy information, just, archive it, just maybe have a footnote, really incorporate your new achievements. Think about what was the success of that role, or what were the key achievements of that role. Make your resume be like your the notice board of all the great things that you've done while in your role. Don't focus too much on the job titles and the JD for the role. Just kind of keep it to a summary, and then talk about your key achievements. Of course, try and modernize it, but don't make it colorful. Don't put pictures on your resume. I see people do that. It's a very strange thing. Don't do that, because, ethically, first of all, the people that are recruiting are not supposed to make decisions based on how you look, your gender, your race, or anything like that. So even putting your picture there immediately kind of disqualifies you from the process. So keep it as lean as possible. Try to make sure that you proofread. Seems like a funny thing, but I've had resumes that reached my table that were full of grammatical errors, and honestly, I couldn't even progress. I was just like, this is a bit of a joke. How do you want to apply for this senior level job and you could even get someone to proofread, your resume? So please make sure that you have a very clean, minimalistic type of resume. Don't make it too busy. Try to keep the key points, and just remember that whoever is looking at your CV is probably looking at hundreds of CVs, or tens of CVs, and doesn't really have the time, so make it as efficient as possible. Then, of course, all of us use LinkedIn here, I'm sure. I hope. If you're not, why not? So really, LinkedIn is a professional tool that has been created, that has really enhanced how people collaborate and how people are able to navigate almost seamlessly within careers. Opportunities come up, there are thought leaderships that are there, there are mentors that are there, there are job opportunities that come up, there are projects that come up. Visibility on LinkedIn can pretty much elevate your career in a way that you didn't have the opportunity to do 10 years ago, right? So make sure you're using LinkedIn properly. Some people don't even have pictures on their LinkedIn. It's a strange one. LinkedIn is like your digital complimentary card, right? It tells me who you are. It tells me what you've done. It tells me your key achievements. It tells me the kind of value system you have, because I can even see what you comment on, what you like, what posts you're engaging with. It gives me a sense as a recruiter what kind of person you are, way before I even have a conversation with you. So just a few things to think about on your LinkedIn profile if you haven't done that already, because in terms of moving within your career and moving intentionally across different kind of sectors, the thing that can give you the most visibility now, as of today, professionally, is LinkedIn. So do try and ensure that you're optimizing your LinkedIn for visibility and for impact, and then for opportunities, okay? So first, make sure that you strengthen your headline. Every person's profile has a headline. Some people don't use it, they just have their names. So please go to your LinkedIn and make sure that you have a very strong headline that kind of encapsulates your expertise and the impacts that you can bring. This is not just about your job title, it's about who you are, right? And then refine your about section, tell the results focused narrative that showcases your achievements, influences, career trajectory. The great thing about LinkedIn is that it'll give you prompts so you know what it is that is expecting that you fill, right? You're not just going in there blind, but do make sure that you actually fill out all the sections. Elevate your experience, right? Frame every role as a performance story with very clear, measurable results. What results do you achieve? What was the strategic impact? What was the cross-functional collaborations? Were there contributions? Who did you work with, right? So create a skills portfolio as well. It will show you how you can identify the skills that you have. This helps you to be able to get picked out for projects or even just for speaking engagements. I can't tell you how many speaking engagements have come from LinkedIn, a lot. I've spoken in Kenyan, Rwandese, UK now, different things. And it's really just a lot of it is also from my LinkedIn optimization. I write articles, short articles about leadership, about series, about HR. People see it and then they want to engage with you and they want to say, oh, can you come in and do something? So try and do that. And then activate your network. Engage with intent, share insights, add value, participate in professional discussions. These boost your visibility. And LinkedIn will suggest to you people that you should follow from what you put in your profile. I think you should follow this person. This person has an interesting thought leadership that is aligned to your interests. You know, even LinkedIn now is very intuitive. So it will tell you, and then those people who are in your sector can see that you've engaged with this content. Oh, this person looks like someone I would like to work with. So try to do that. Showcase your credibility, highlight your achievements. You know, LinkedIn is not for humility, as I tell people. LinkedIn is not where you go there to be conservative. LinkedIn is where you go to tell people, this is who I am, this is what I've done, respectfully, of course. And then optimize for search. When you activate your LinkedIn properly, it helps your profile to come up in search engines when people are searching for many things, especially for recruiters. A lot of us spend a lot of our time on LinkedIn. It's the easiest and fastest way for me to get what I need without going through a series of hoops. And it opens me to a variety of candidates I might not have otherwise have had access to. All right. And then do make sure you maintain a very polished digital presence. Curate it with intention. Don't just pick a picture that you had, you know, somewhere in your office that you took, right? Have a picture that is professional. It's a professional network, right? It's not Twitter, it's not Facebook, it's not TikTok, right? So let's do that. If you can, customize a very nice banner, you know, strengthen your personal brand, like have a sense of who you are and let that come out very clearly in your LinkedIn profile. As I mentioned about the COO of Paystack, that's just a cautionary tale for all of us to remember that what you do online, it doesn't even stay online. It can come back and bite you years later. So wherever it is that your presence is, some people even use pseudonyms, but you know, you can find out who people are, right? No matter how much you try to mask, you're going to find out. So really be very intentional about how you are protecting your brand, and then develop one as well. So LinkedIn is extremely important. So really quickly, I'm looking at my time, make sure that I'm good. So we're going beyond technical for you to be employable and for you to be able to navigate seamlessly. I mentioned it at the beginning of this discussion, and I'm going to reiterate it as I end. The human skills are so important. You know, I said it's so much easier to work with somebody who's pleasant, who gets along well with people, who can communicate well. It's so much easier. So no matter how much skills you have, right? And this is why we said AI will not take our jobs. It will enhance the way we work. It won't take our jobs because at the end of the day, people are people, and people like people that can communicate well, who collaborate well, who have high emotional intelligence, who lead with empathy. People like those kind of people. And those are the people that are going to recruit. Those are the people that are going to get promoted. Those are the people that are going to be able to move seamlessly along the career trajectory. So while you are enhancing your technical skills, which are great, of course, you do need technical skills. Proficiency in specific tools that are relevant to your field or to your job, software, methodologies relevant to your field. Of course, make sure that you're developing that, but do not neglect the human skills that are very important for you to be employable and for you to be able to move within your career. So that is where I will be ending this conversation today about navigating your career and gaining employable skills. I hope that it's been enlightening, and I will take any questions at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chidinma. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you at the start of this conversation that she's a woman of tangible tact and tenacity. You could hear it from her voice. You know, she's a total treasure. The wealth of knowledge that she has delivered this evening is something that you can't find it in most places, really. But here you are having it right here, free of charge, November to Remember, University of Greater Manchester. It is really wonderful. In fact, while you were speaking, I was looking for the, applause widget. There's no applause widget on Zoom. That's really, really sad, because you deserve a great applause. Maybe somebody here might begin to think of how to put an applause widget on Zoom to make some money, like Paystack and stuff like that. Anyway, thank you so much, Chidinma. And it's really wonderful that we have such a global personality who has gone through HR. A lot of people, most of the times when they're applying, people complain about how do HR people actually even look at CVs. Today, you're going to answer those questions. So if you're right here, maybe you're sitting in your room, sitting in the class, talking in, drinking tea, this is the time you ask all those questions that you want to ask HR. Please, how are you people hiring people like this? How did you people recruit people? Did you even look at my CV? Sometimes you see jobs on several job platforms, and you go and apply only to see, unfortunately, people have received like 2 billion, unfortunately. Please, how does these things happen? I'm sure a lot of students here have those questions. And whilst you're waiting to ask the questions, I would like if you can raise your hand or even put the questions on chat. We're going to be taking both people who raised their hands and those who put the questions on chat. And it's really important to highlight some of the things that she said. One of them, which is the fact that somebody who started Paystack is now facing some sort of backlash because of some tweet that they made some years back. That reminded me of a popular saying by somebody. It says that freedom of speech is guaranteed, but freedom after speech may not be guaranteed, that one. So you really have to be careful of whatever it is that you do in this time of AI. And of course, she mentioned things about being informed, market shift, emerging technologies, learning new skills, of course, ChatGPT prompting, AI prompting, and the rest. So if you have your questions, I want you to get them ready. But before then, I'd like to really recognize two very important people who are going to speak to us, at some point. I said the name of one person, and that person is Sam Johnson. She has been with us. She's the head of creative arts and technology, and she's been very, very, very supportive with November to Remember since I can remember. And of course, we also have in our midst Dr. Vidya, the governor, renewable energy, championing strategic leadership in wind energy and the path to net zero here in University of Greater Manchester. Okay, so right now we are going to start taking questions. So I'm seeing, okay. I hope you're ready, Chidinma, because I'm seeing a lot of hands. All right, so I'm going to start with Yemi. Yemi, if you can hear me, unmute yourself and ask your question. So please, if you can make your questions as concise as possible, maybe 1 minute, so that we can have all the time to answer it. All right, Yemi, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kale. And thank you so much, Dr. Chidinma. Really very, very interesting being here this hour. My question is very straight. I want to believe that you can hear me very clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So my question is very, very straight. For all this achievement of from rising from the grass to grace, I just want to ask specifically that you explain how you've been managed and, navigating all through it. And I want to just clear that having diversity of interest, especially when you get to a stage, I'm using myself as an example now that I'm studying a research program in the University of Greater Manchester, and have a lot on my mind across some skill that I've developed over the year, and now trying to making sure that streamline it to know exactly which I should go for. And I also want to commend the school that have even helped us to, try as much as possible on how to go about it. But I want to hear from you in the business part of it, beyond the technical aspect. Thank you. That is my question.
Should we take all the questions or should I answer it per question?
Okay, so we can take 3 at a time if
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Yes, that's okay.
hopefully you've noted that one down. So the next person, let's have Aiba Tombo Ebiere Ekie. Sorry if I murdered your name. I'm so sorry about that. But Aiba Tombo, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, Chidinma, for the session. It was quite enlightening and eye-opening to certain things. But I want to ask with regards to the CV. You mentioned it shouldn't be more than 2 pages. For someone who has, say, someone who has worked in different organizations over a space of, say, 5-6 years, and it covers the period of that particular career that you're in. How do you limit your CV? Because when you put those work experience, listing them, it kind of overshoots and gets into like 3 pages. So how do you limit them? What's the best way to limit them? That would be my question.
Right, what's the best way to limit them? And the third question we're going to have will be from Odosa. Odosa, unmute yourself and ask your question. Odosa Ayebekane, can you? And if you ask your question, can you put your hands down so we know that you've asked your question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but it's a bit muffled. But just go ahead.
Okay, apologies because I'm in a bus, but I just want to quickly bring this question in. Firstly, I would like the speaker to please give us LinkedIn handle so we can follow. I tried looking up LinkedIn for our accounts, but I could not get the exact account. That's the first one. Then secondly, as an HR specialist, I would also want her to tell us about this 8-year platform that major organizations or HR departments use in filtering CVs, and how we can easily work with that and ensure that we align our CV to that. And lastly is there's this news that using AI to enhance your CV in some organizations is a big offense. It's a red flag. I want to know where she stands on that. So these are my 3 key questions. Thank you.
All right. Please, can you also help us with putting that question on the chat also, so that we every other person that couldn't get it can also hear it, see it. Would that be okay, please? All right, Dr. Chidinma, over to you. You're muted.
So thank you. Yeah, sorry. So the questions are very good. I hope I got them all down correctly. If I didn't, please, you could just align me to them properly. But I remember the length of the CV. I'll start with that because that's always a question I get all the time. So the truth of the matter is, no matter how many years of experience that you have, you can fit your CV into 2 pages. Now, the reason why we say 2 pages as a guide is, one, apart from the fact that, you know, span of attention is, we don't even have it. We really want to see the most relevant. So when you worked after your NYSC, imagine you've had 25 years of experience and you're not spending time talking about when you were at NYSC and you did, NYSC is the how do you explain NYSC now? NYSC is the compulsory year you have to work once you finish university, right? And that's what happens in Nigeria. So it's pretty much experience that might not be as relevant to the recruiter now that you're positioning for a senior manager role, right? So if you saw what I said in my presentation, I said you might need to archive. I'm not saying delete it. You can mention it, but you're not going to spend 5 lines writing about the things you did when you were in high school or when you had your post-university work experience, unless that thing is extremely relevant to what you're doing now. And if you recall as well, I mentioned that don't use your CV as your job description part. Like, don't tell the recruiter all the things you are assigned to do. So I was the head of department at this organization. Then, right, as head of department, I was in charge of doing blah, blah, blah. You bring your entire JD and then you plug it in there. Summarize your role. Focus on your key achievements. So when I was there, I was able to institute this policy that led to reduction of this cost. I was able to do XYZ, which resulted in so. Like, you're really talking about the achievements that you were personally able to execute while you were there. That is what is more important to the recruiter versus all the duties and responsibilities assigned to that role. And then what 2 pages helps you to do is to be very focused in the CV. Like, you want to put in the things that are most relevant. You're not just going to fill it in with all kinds of things. And then I had I participated in a church crusade and I was the chief accountant there. Like, I'm not saying that that's not a good thing, but is it relevant? That thing you're putting there, is it relevant? Remember that if you are successful, you have an opportunity to talk more about the things that are on your CV or on your resume. So focus on the summary, not the job description. Emphasize the key achievements that you personally were responsible for on your time on these roles. And if you work in that way, you should be able to limit it to 2. If you've done it and there's no way it cannot split into 3, then go ahead, by all means. But try not to do that. Sometimes the reason why it's on 3 pages is how you've chosen to format your CV. You said to use half for, all those different templates we have. You have to be very, you have to be very mindful of those things, right? The recruiters don't appreciate it. I just have to tell you that. And then for the question on the tool, I believe the question was on the tool and how you can position to make sure that you can move past the system. Now, the great thing about AI is that you really cannot, or technology really is difficult for you to it's difficult for you to game the system, if you know what I mean. There's no emotions with technology, right? They just want what they want. So one of the things that they do is that they make sure you have so many different sections that you have to fill. Very, very few places now do you just upload your CV. You have to actually fill out the information. So one, they want to make sure that you actually go through the process. Many people actually give up halfway. The laborious way in which they've set up these recruitment portals are actually just to get you off the portal, because you're just like, how many pages? I've put in all the information, I'm not done yet, right? So once you've gone through that, make sure that you've actually put in all the things that are required. And then when you see a job advertisement, what you can use AI for is to identify what are the keywords that are relevant to this job post. And if you find out those keywords, and when they have the section in your about or why should be considered for this job, try and put the keywords there, because when they're going to be looking for the candidates, apart from the set ones on qualifications and experience, they use the buzzwords to check. So that could help. But really just try and ensure you get an interview. Try and get a callback. And I tell people that if you have a callback, that is, you actually walk into an interview, then make sure you kill that interview. You must make sure that you leave there with that offer. And preparing for the interview is a whole different skill set entirely. But when it's the one that is generic and they just have to select, usually it's not personal. They're just using a filter. And once they filter and they filter out, it's exactly what they put in that they will use to filter. And sometimes you just don't know what those things are. And then the question from Yemi Bakari, I'm not sure I got the last part. I do remember the one about from grace to grass, but I can't remember what exactly the question was for, what the question was about. Do you have, can someone just help me recall? What was the question that he was asking? I think I've answered the other two, but I can't remember Yemi's question. I just remember the part about from grace to grass, but then I didn't remember what the question was about. Was it something about the trajectory of my career and how that has informed my career choices? I'm not sure. If anybody has that question, I really would like to answer it, but I couldn't remember what the landing was on.
Yemi, are you still there?
Yeah, me Bakare. I think that was his name. I can't remember how the question landed.
No, I think you have answered that. Let's move on.
Okay, was it? Okay, all right. So I think those are the questions. I think I merged the two questions in ones in my
somebody
answer.
asked, I think the last speaker asked something about what your opinion is about using AI to make your CV, and that some companies say is a red flag. What's your stand on it? And then I think he was also asking what are the platforms, some of the platforms that HR managers use in filtering CV or something like that, if I'm right.
Yeah, so well, I don't know why a HR person would say if you used AI to do your CV to be a red flag. What is the red flag is when you've put things in there that have nothing to do with your job. I told you that don't lie on your CV. You can embellish, that is, expound on what you did, but don't flat out lie. Some people put things in their CV, they don't even know what is there. I've had interviews with people who somebody else helped them do their CV and they didn't know what information was in there. I've had people who have put things in there that they don't even have the skill sets to do. The red flag is not that AI helped you generate your CV. The red flag is that what is on the CV has nothing to do with your experience or expertise. Or the new one people now do is that they're in interviews, virtual interviews, and then they're trying to get the answer from AI at the same time. And then we can always tell when you're trying to do that. So that will not get you a callback when the information in there is untrue. And it's very easy for you to tell when something is untrue. A CV is a accumulation of all the work that you've done. So when somebody's talking to you about the work that you've done, the way you answer is clear that this is what you did. But when you just generated it from somewhere that is not yours, then you start struggling. A good interviewer can easily pick that out. So the problem is not that AI helped you generate your CV. The problem is that what you put on the CV is not skills that you've acquired and is not your own experience, and you're having a challenge trying to explain it. So in terms of how we filter, what are the things that we're filtering when we use any of these tools is what we need in terms of values and experience. And sometimes we've already preset it in the tool that we're using. So say, for instance, I'm looking for somebody who is an engineer. I actually want someone that has 10 years of work experience in a particular sector. Do you know how frustrating it is when you're recruiting for an engineer with 10 years of experience that you've clearly stated in the job description, but somebody who studied music with 2 years of experience will apply for the job. And then we have to waste time looking through to say, oh, why did this person submit this appraisal, submit this CV? So you just put in the tool, this is what I need, and they will just filter out that specific requirement. So it's not any particular kind of science. It's not like we're trying to be wicked or we're trying to just, people say all sorts of things. The truth of the matter is the JD is what we're looking for. So people think they can game the system by applying for a job that they have no experience, just hoping that they will get a call back. And then even though you studied music, you can somehow convince me they can do an engineering job, right? So please just apply for the job that you know you have the experience for on your CV that is demonstrated. That will help you to be shortlisted, and then you can now have a callback. The real hidden agenda is just you didn't align to what is in the job description. I want someone who has 4 years experience in marketing. You've never done marketing before, but you feel you can do marketing, and then you apply. You're wasting our time, and that is why we have to resort to these tools, because you have one job role, 200 people apply. We're not going to go through 200 CVs, so we just put it in the tool, shortlist all these people that fit this job description, and then it will filter. That's really just what it is.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I still have like 2 people raising up their hands. But what will happen because of time? I'm going to read out 2 questions from the comments, and then I will give one person that is raising up their hands, and then the final person will be my co-moderator, which is okay. Before I call on Sam Johnson, who will say something to us definitely, and then we can call it a day. Sorry, if you have any question, you can still put it up on the chat. You never know what can happen. And by the way, today might be your lucky day to get your CV reviewed by a very own distinguished, speaker. I know she's not seeing this thing coming, but it's possible. You never know. That might be the prize that you win today by getting your CV reviewed by this our respectable speaker. So the question in the comment section says, what major tip? So this person is asking, Osato Bradley. They say, what major tip or tips would you give to someone with non-UK experience trying to break into the job market in the UK, especially when they are asking for UK experience up to 3 years? That's one. Second one is Nnamdi Okoro is asking, how best should I present interdisciplinary research on a collaborative project on my CV or collaborative projects on my CV? So he's asking, how best should I present interdisciplinary research or collaborative projects on my CV? I suppose, how is this person going to put it or arrange it on their CV? Okay, so if I can have Sarah Ilori. Sarah, if you use 1 minute, I will allow Isaac ask also. So Sarah, unmute yourself, ask in 1 minute so that our speaker can take everything. Sarah, if I count 3 and you've not started talking, I'll give it to Isaac.
Hello. Hi. Sorry about that. I was having trouble unmuting. But thank you so much for the speaking engagement. I really appreciate all the information that I learned. I feel like as a student, I'm in my final year at Rutgers University studying economics and data science. And it's been very helpful to me because at this point, I'm definitely focusing on networking and applying to jobs for post-grad. So my question would be, do you have any ways, because I know everybody, we put in a lot of applications, and in today's era, it's only getting harder with the applications because even AI might be applying as well. So I was wondering if you had any tactics to kind of taking another route other than just applying through the websites. I'm also focused on networking, meeting with professionals, but if you have another route on trying to get jobs at, big Fortune 500 companies and trying to work through that and speak with the right people, if you have any tips for me or any tactics that I can use.
Isaac, will you take up to 1 minute? If you won't take up to 1 minute, unmute yourself and ask your question so that Dr. Chidinma can now answer everything.
Good evening, Ma. Good evening for this opportunity. I dropped a question in the group, but I'll use this opportunity to quickly use my 1 minute quickly, right? So I've been working with this company. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
go ahead.
Yeah. I work with this company, right? Where my boss, my senior manager, he knew the job, but he don't know how to implement so many things in the job. But I have the experience, but I don't have the certificate. You get, right? So me now, I'm coming into the work. I lost the job because I don't have the SC, and certification, right? So, but now I've been applying for so many jobs, and I've got to have so many interviews, but at the end, I'm not having the certificate, right? I don't have the certificate, and I'm not getting the job because I don't have the certificate. I have the experience, right? I can do the job neat and sound, but I don't have the certificate. And currently, I'm finishing my NYSC by December, but I don't have the certificate. But if you can give me the work, I will finish up the work. I will do a neat job because this is the result. All business want result, right? So I give result, but I don't have the certificate. And my last question here is that, okay, I optimize my LinkedIn. I have a good LinkedIn. I work on my network. I'm not entitled to people like bothering people or harassing people, but I add value in my LinkedIn. But like I seems not to have that visibility, right? That visibility, I don't have it, right? I connect with people, but that visibility, I don't have it. And in terms of HR, being an HR, I want to ask my final question. Why interview? Why interview? Because so many people now, they can.
Dr. Chidinma.
Is it done? I was asking why interview.
Why interview? Yeah, you can take it from there. I think his network is.
Yeah. So I was reading, I mean, he did a good job of writing it in the chat. So I was actually reading it through. And you know, I mentioned that the job market is getting more and more competitive, and that's because the employers have limited resources and the options are now varied. So we have options in terms of different skill set. We have options in terms of technology. So if you are going to employ with your limited resources, why will I be looking for someone who has no qualifications but can do the job? And I can pay the same amount and get somebody who has the qualifications and can also do the job. Maybe not as good as you. So anyway, it is really relative why you would not, or why your employer will not want to employ you even though you don't have a certificate. But the truth of the matter is, because the job market is so competitive, right? You might as well just have the certification. You might as well just have what is required as the foundation to get in. If you're even using one of these software to apply, it's even dead on arrival. You don't have a certificate, AI, the tool will not even consider you to even go to where a human being will look at your CV. Right? So I think it's important that you first of all get the certification. I use one example to people when they always mention, why do employers, why interview, why all these things? The truth of the matter is, if you want to employ a driver, right, and you have the money to pay for a driver, you are not going to get a driver that has no driver's license. No matter whether the person tells you, I can drive from here, I can drive 300 kilometers, I've done this, I've done that, you will want to see something before you expend your money. That is what employers do as well, right? An employer is going to spend their resources, their capital on the person that has all that is required to do the job. That's just the way it is. So if you would do that just for your own driving, won't you interview the driver? You call the driver, talk to the driver, look at the driver, send them for medical, go all that. That's just you driving your car. That's because your car, you spend so much money to buy that car. You don't want anybody driving your car. Or say it was even for a housekeeper, a nanny, anything. You spend so much due diligence, to make sure you get the right person. That's the same thing any employer will do. So what I will say, instead of trying to fight the system and asking why, just need to rank and file and get what needs to be done so that when you get in, they can see how fantastic you are. What you're trying to do is get in the door. right? So get in the door. After you're in the door, then show them who you are, all the things you can do. But you need that certificate to get through the door. So the other question about the Fortune 500 companies and how else you can do, you've been applying to job boards. The truth of the matter, again, is that when you're looking for this sort of places, it almost becomes like an elite sport. You know, it's not just everybody that gets into if it's a Fortune 500 company. There's a way that you go. Many of us don't like to recognize the way. So it's either going to be through the educational routes, and not the degrees, but sometimes even in the institution that you go to. The alumni network might be very strong. In that alumni network, you're able to gain access to information that is not just known. Very few Fortune 500 companies, well, depending on the position, they don't advertise because they are trying to resource. They're advertising for a legal reason. Some roles need to be advertised, but they don't plan to recruit from LinkedIn. They already have the alumni network where they're planning to source the candidates that they need, right? So you need to understand the psychology of whichever industry you're working at. Some people, some organizations, you need a personal reference. That's for sure. It doesn't matter how good you are, unless you're coming in as the entry level. The higher up you go, you're going to need a personal reference. So what I would say to get a good job, whatever level that you're at, you said you're just leaving graduate school. So I want to assume maybe you just have a few years of working experience. If that is the case, I would tell you to really actively use your alumni network. As a student, that's one of the strongest and most effective ways that many of us don't really utilize. Your alumni network. They will talk about jobs, they will talk about opportunities, they will mentor you. They have access to networks you don't have access to. And I would rather write a reference for somebody who worked in my uni than a stranger who just meets me blankly on LinkedIn. So use your alumni networks, network with intention. That's very important. Network with intention. Make it a science, a fine art, and that will help you to go on as you verify favor, is it? Okay, so I think I answered those questions. I don't know if there's anything I left unanswered.
Yes.
Right. Okay. We will stop for now with the questions. I know that my co-host still has a question, so she might get to ask it later. But before then, I have to welcome Dr. Sam Johnson to speak to us right now. Sam, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Kel. Thank you so very much, Dr. Sylvia, for a truly expert session. It feels like a personal consultation. You know, we should all be sending you checks in the post. I'm sure everyone will agree. That was absolutely brilliant, so expert. And I mean, from my perspective, what was so useful was the way in which you outlined, the way in which human resources, I love that, has evolved into human evolution. And you've given us so much signposting as to how we can evolve ourselves and develop ourselves. And some of those key takeaways that I've got noted down here. First and foremost, what value are you giving? I loved that anecdote or metaphor of the breadcrumbs. What are we all doing in order to give, in order to then potentially receive in the future? It's all of that feeding forward, isn't it? So, I mean, what value do we give? That's absolutely key. And also that notion of personal diversification. Don't be as we say in the UK, don't be a one-trick pony. Be able to do lots of tricks, be able to turn your hand to several things. Absolutely essential. But also that notion of broadening your horizons and not putting limits upon yourself. So all of those takeaways were absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure everyone on the call will have written down any number. You'll be inundated, I've no doubt. So you best brace yourself for any number of contacts from everybody on the call. So what I'd like to do is to say a huge thank you, Dr. Sylvia, for joining us again for November to Remember. And we will share our E-Award with you. And then I'll just say a few words, if I may, Professor Celestine, about the overall series. So could we please say a huge thank you to Dr. Sylvia. I shall share the award And can colleagues see that? Please accept this award from the University of Greater Manchester and from Professor Celestine and all of the students and staff and visitors who've been on this call. That was a truly expert talk. Absolutely amazing value there to be had. So thank you so much, Dr. Sylvia. And I do hope you come back next year.
I do hope you come back next year. Thank you, Sam Johnson. Thank you so much. And everybody's really enjoying this whole series. You know what? You know what? Okay, are you here? Are you still here?
Yes, we're all still here. Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Now I was calling you so you can ask your question. So we give you that.
Thank you.
Ask your question so we can finally conclude with Dr.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to ask
Celestine.
a question because I know that most of us are students here, and a lot of people don't actually have so much experience that they can demonstrate on their CVs. So I wanted to find out, because I know you've pointed one or two things, but I wanted a more kind of specific aligned answers to this question. So as someone who has just left school, maybe a BSc or an MSc, and they don't have so much experience, how do they show something on their CV that would attract a recruiter or make them to any recruiter to give them opportunity?
Thank you. Okay, and that's a very good question. And actually, the problem is that people have experience. They don't know how to showcase that they have experience. So what you assume is experience is you went and worked at an office and then that is the experience. But every single person, I will be really surprised if you say someone doesn't have experience. So you were in university, right? You had a BSc, you were probably in subcommittees, you had a project that you led. There were some things that you did, in the student union, in your dormitories, hall of residence, in your church. All of this is experience. What you need to do is to translate the things that you did to make it relevant to any employer. I remember one of the earlier jobs that I had, the reason why I was called in for an interview was because I did a CV clinic for my church. I went in there and helped people to review CVs. I had never worked in HR. I had worked in investment banking. And the lady said, oh, wow, that was how many people did you see? I said, we saw about over 200 people, which was true. And for me to have gone through and reviewed CVs with 200 people and the way in which I presented it was enough for me to have the opportunity to work in human resources, right? So look at the things that you've done. Don't just look at him as, oh, I was just in university, I finished, I don't have any experience. Look at the things that you did, the projects you participated in. You helped a lecturer, maybe you helped not like a research assistant, but maybe you worked with him or her to do a particular thing. Take that skill that you did and showcase what that did for you, what that did in your church or your religious institution, what you did in your hall of residence, what you did for student union, how you organized a big sale and everybody raised money for, a charity. All of this is experience. So there's no one that can really say they have no experience. What you don't have is that you're not communicating effectively that experience to your potential recruiter.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really don't want this thing to end, but it has to end. We have to go home. Thank God today is Friday anyways. But before we go, I'm going to call up Dr. Vidya Amarapala. He's the governor at the University of Greater Manchester, and of course, he's part of the renewable energy, championing strategic leadership in wind energy and the path to net zero. Doctor, the floor is
yes, thank
yours.
you. Thank you very much for that wonderful interview. But I must say that I just finished my assignment to be the governor of the university just a couple of months ago. And anyway, thank you very much. And this is just, overall remark and thank some of the key players who made the November to Remember possible. We extend our sincere appreciation to Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Professor Tony Hines, Dr. Deborah Greaser, Dr. Vishnu Pandiala, Professor Carlo Fisciani, Kathleen Kramer, Professor Jakim, George, Dr. Mioz, then Nurun Nahab, one of our own colleagues, Professor Mohammed Alain, and Dr. Sylvia Maduka, who is basically robbed everyone's attention by extending a session well over 1.5 hours for the first time in the November to Remember. Every one of you, brightened up November to Remember. Thank you all for your excellent presentations and meaningful contributions, all of which have truly made this November to Remember for sure. My gratitude also goes to Professor Celestine Ivendi, Head of Center of Intelligence of Things, Sam Johnson, of course, the Head of the School of Arts and Creative Technologies, the program ambassadors, the dedicated team of volunteers, our colleagues, and all the attendees. Professor Ivendi, we are deeply impressed by your ability to bring together such an eminent panel of distinguished speakers. Your success in doing is a testament to your exceptional relationship building skills and extensive professional network. That goes without saying. Your commitment to sharing knowledge reflects a rare and commendable passion. Thank you very much. Let me conclude by simply saying, well done, and my warmest congratulations to every stakeholder involved in making November to Remember a resounding success. Thank you all. Remember to come back and attend November to Remember next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for that closing remarks. And I'm sure Prof will have something to say before we finally close.
I don't have anything to say. Sam wants to say something because she said she wants to say something about it. For me,
okay.
I just want to say thank you, everyone. Only what I want to say before Sam comes up is we'll try as much as possible. Tomorrow, you'll get your certificate for those who attended the whole 2-week series. We'll work extra. We have learned that those who succeed in life are those who work more than 8 to 5 and Monday to Friday. So we'll get it down to you wherever you are. Thank you so much, Chidinma. I appreciate, the time and then everything. You say also a good thank you to your CEO, PANA Holdings, for allowing you to deliver this. Over to Sam.
Thank you so much, Professor Celestine, and to all of the participants this evening and throughout the whole series. And I just wanted to summarize by saying across those 10 sessions, I think for all of you that have been able to attend all of those, I think what's so important is that what's been underlined each evening is both the responsibilities and also the opportunities to all of you who are going to work or are working in the digital sector. This is such a dynamic, important space for everybody to be working in, and there are huge financial gains to be had, there's great glories to be had, but there's also a huge responsibility and ethical responsibility for our communities, our global community. And a few C words came out of the last 10 days, if you like. What I have brought away is how important connectivity is, both literal connectivity in terms of technical connectivity, but also connectivity between people, places, and communities. So connectivity and communication, that's another key. I mean, Dr. Sylvia, this evening, that was just, when you said, just go in that interview, you just got to nail it. You've got to communicate and articulate so very clearly. And the other key word that has come out of this fantastic season, and which is embodied through November to Remember, is the importance of collaboration. We've had professors, we've had industry experts, we've had people from all over the world collaborating together, students and academics. So I think that those 3 C's, communication, collaboration, connectivity, how important are they? But I'll just finish on that one word that, Dr. Sylvia really emphasized today, intentionality in everything that we do. If we can be intentional, both in terms of our kindness, the way in which we interact with other people, but also in terms of our career development, what a difference we can all make to the world. So I think we've learned so much over the last 10 sessions. I look forward to next year, November 2026. As I say, I do hope Dr. Sylvia returns, but thank you, Professor Celestine. Thank you so much for everything that you've brought to our organization. Thank you very much. And good night, everyone. Fantastic.
Good night, Sam. Thank you, guys. Everyone that has been part of this, thank you guys for being here today. It's been a wonderful one. I mean, one of the things I remember that Chidinma said, she said that she asked ChatGPT to tell her about herself or something like that. And he wrote a letter. And I was thinking to myself, what if I type ChatGPT, tell me about myself? It might say, I don't know who you are, things like that. So I'm encouraging you to make sure you make a mark so that ChatGPT doesn't say, I don't know who you are. All right, guys, have a nice weekend and enjoy yourselves.
Bye-bye, everyone.